A very warm good morning to one and all. We have gathered here today to celebrate the opening of the summer school program. We feel pleased to have your presence as we begin the celebration. Your presence today adds the charm and solidarity that we so look forward to. Before we move any further, here is a saying. Leadership is the art of giving people a platform for spreading ideas that work. And resonating with this, we feel blessed to have our leaders in Mr. Yashwant Raj Parismal, the co-founder of 21K School, and Ms. Aruna Shetty, the head of the schools at 21K. I take the pleasure of inviting Mr. Yashwant Raj Parismal to the stage to speak a few words on the summer school program.
Dear students, I'm excited to welcome you all to this all-important Summer School 2022. This is the second edition of our Summer School program. Last year, we had 36 domain experts coming and taking workshops for 600 plus students. The Summer School has deeply impacted the students' imagination and creativity, where we see this year, many of our students are able to prepare and launch their own mobile app, write books, to become an author at a young age, and also start the YouTube channels and many other creative pursuits. I personally feel that the summer school is the most important part of 21K School's academic year. This is like a getaway from the normal schooling, allowing students to experience real-world skills directly from the domain experts, not just from India, but across the world. I'm also honored and privileged to welcome our esteemed guest, Sri Sonam Wangchuk, to inaugurate this edition of Summer School. Sir, at 21K School, we aspire to make education more accessible, flexible, personalized, and affordable. We are struggling to understand why SECMOL is called as an alternative school and sincerely hope that schools, if these such schools become mainstream in our country. We also try to understand that why, when you speak about the system failing the students, and what is it that we can do to improve the learning experience of our students. In our 2 years of our existence since June 2020, we are able to reduce the variability of learning experience of our students coming from different geographical background, location, or economic and social strata. We believe technology is a great leveler, and it allows us to offer fantastic learning program, truly inspiring, related to the real world, to make sure that learning becomes more accessible and personalized and flexible. We are bridging the gap between the parents' perception of what they think the child learns in the school versus they actually see learning at 21K School, ensuring that the learning experience at 21K School is not only transparent, but meets the expectations of parents as well as our founders. Dear sir, we believe that the students at 21K School are less stressed today because they don't have to travel extensively to attend a normal schooling. We've been able to provide things which are special and make them normally accessible to all the students. Our students have access to digital library, virtual labs, a whole set of platforms which measures the personalized learning and allows them to experience learning to the highest level. We sincerely hope that today's session of yours will inspire many more students to transform the education and develop a scientific thinking and an entrepreneurial mindset which allows them to go and solve real problems. Many of these problems have been created by our own generations. We owe it to our students whom we teach in the class to make sure that we at least prepare them to solve the problems that we have created with our generation, threatening the existence of this beautiful planet. Without taking much time, I'm delighted to welcome Sri Sonam Wangchuk and all the parents and the students who have joined us for this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yashwant sir. Education and innovation go hand in hand because the ultimate aim of education is not knowledge, but action. Today, we feel fortunate to have amongst us our chief guest, who is an explorer, innovator, engineer, an environmentalist, and most importantly, an education reformist. He is the out of the box educator who believes that the true purpose of education is to learn skills that help us live a life in harmony with nature. He believes education is not just about acquiring knowledge, but to apply it to find simple and sustainable solutions to real life problems. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Sonam Wangchuk.
Thank you.
Sonam sir, we feel honored and privileged to have you with us today. I request you to share a few words of wisdom with our students and parents who are present today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I'm delighted to be connected with such a beautiful idea that you are pursuing. Truly happy to connect to you all from the mountains of Ladakh. We are still just coming out of winter. So from a still not so warm Ladakh, I send my very warm greetings. I was really excited to understand more about the concept of your school, 21K, and the summer school. You know, things change with time and they better change. And it's been quite a long time that we have been caging our children in these four walls called classrooms and buildings that turn more and more into factory-like establishments to call them school and make our children spend a precious quarter of their lives in those. I've always been wishing to make children more free to explore things on their own and get help also, but not regiment them and their every movement from morning till evening, so much so that when they are on their own, they don't even know how to handle life. So it's really heartening to know that you are using technology and making education a more free and exploratory journey. With the pandemic experience, it has made the world realize even more that physical presence is not the only way. You can do so much online now with the technology. It was always there. And I used to find it so hard to explain to professors in IITs and elsewhere that we can use technology to do much of the things we used to do in the 70s and 80s online. And when they would complain to me and say the children today are really poor or bad even because they don't pay attention in the classrooms, and I would gently say that I don't blame the children. I have my sympathies with them because they get everything online nowadays. The lectures that were so precious in the 70s are available, and actually much better ones are available with the best speakers, communicators of the world, and 3D illustration and so on, so that a classroom lecture becomes a shadow of what is available online. So I would say, why do you do the same things that you used to do? Why not do what is not on internet and let internet do what it is good in? It was hard to explain, but then we could say with the pandemic, things changed, and now they're more and more able to see. So with technology and changing minds and times, I would really say geography is history. Now, it doesn't matter which part of the geography you are in, it's just history. You can be all together online, and so much is being done already, from coding to schooling to management, all online. And therefore, education better come to terms with these changes and make it an opportunity and use it to give children a rather fulfilling, satisfying childhood. So many childhoods have been wasted in the name of these buildings called schools, and often dark and dingy rooms called classrooms. I'll just share with you a little bit of my own life and my journey afterwards as a youth and the work we are doing to show how education is important, but not necessarily schools, at least when we think of schools as these buildings and walls. That's perhaps why Mark Twain famously said, "I have never allowed my schooling to interfere with my education." So sometimes when they are not done in the best ways, schools can actually become a hindrance towards education. So let me share a little bit of how my schooling, my childhood happened in a tiny, tiny village, which didn't even have a school. We had only 5 households, such a tiny village in a region like Ladakh, which is already like beyond the planet, the end of the planet almost. We remain cut off from the rest of the world for half the year. It's around now as we speak, the roads are starting to open and we'll be once again connected. So such a remote place, and in that a tiny village of 5 households. And sure enough, there were no schools to serve 5 households. But looking back, I think that was the best thing that happened to me, to not have schools, because learning doesn't necessarily happen with schools and textbooks and teachers. There's so many ways a human child can blossom. Before I go further, let me share some images for you to understand what kind of place I'm talking about, because as they say, an image can speak more than 1,000 words, and that's so true when you're talking about a place like Ladakh. So I'll try and share my screen to show you where I'm speaking to you from and where my childhood and my education, even if not schooling, happened, because I didn't have schools till 9 years of age in my little village. So let me see if I can share my screen, and let me know when you can see my screen. Yeah, you can see my screen. Okay. Now, just for you to know the geography a little, this is top north of our country. Ladakh is in the top north beyond Himalayas. Not in the Himalayas, but rather beyond the lush green Himalayas like Kashmir and Himachal. When you go beyond, then you are in the Trans-Himalayas, and it's not lush and green, I can tell you. If you were to visit Ladakh, you will be surprised at this shape of Himalayas. It's a dry desert and a mountain desert, and monsoon clouds barely reach us. That's why it's called Trans-Himalayan, or, the Himalayas become a rain barrier, and we are in the rain shadow. And it's high in altitude in the mountains, something like 3,000 to 4,000 meters, or 10 to 14,000 feet up in the sky. That's as close as it can get to outer space. And that's why the temperatures go from plus 35 to minus 35, like outer space. And you can see it looks like uninhabitable. In fact, it looks like some moon or Mars. As you can see, it looks like Mars, but this image actually is that of the planet Mars. I put it here just to tease you a little bit to imagine where I am speaking from. Actually, if I open my window and showed you the scene outside, it's not at all different from this. but this one is Mars. And this is Ladakh. We have a bit of clouds, just a little bit. And the annual precipitation, which means rain and snow, is as little as 4 inches, 10 centimeters. That's all we have. But that doesn't mean our ancestors didn't survive in these mountains. They actually thrived and were so resourceful, even without schools back then, that they beautifully found a system of life and livelihoods in these mountains, where they used frozen ice, which are called glaciers, from the mountains, and channelize those, cutting rocks, carving them, and then irrigating patches of desert. Like you see that little island of green, that's a Ladakhi village. And then they would grow peas and wheat and barley and apricots, apples and peaches and plums, and you name it. Things grow here, yes, but it takes human effort. So it was a great childhood for me to learn from these elders the art of living in the most difficult, harsh, if you may say, circumstances. So this is how Ladakh is. It's a tiny minority, not only ethnic and linguistic, but also climatic and technological. You can see, just to run a tap, a simple tap is quite a circus. When pipes freeze and burst, you have to heat them and melt the ice. So this is what I'm talking about. But over centuries, as I said, people have not only survived, but a colorful civilization has thrived with its own music, dance, literature, and a lifestyle in harmony with nature. Without harming nature, people lived happily in these mountains with very little resources. And that's what education should teach us, to live in harmony with nature. I'll come back to that. But I grew up in a tiny village like this, with farmers, animals like sheep and goat and cows and yaks, and no school. Yes, I didn't have a school to go till 9 years of age in my village. Even after 9, I was dragged out to some other village to send me to school, which was actually the end of happy learning for me. when I was sent to schools, much against what people think, that schooling is learning or schooling is education, I found that you could learn much more in the village, because learning, actually, I would say in retrospect, I learned while I was working on education in Ladakh, that it's not schools or teachers or textbooks, or even online lectures for that matter. What drives learning is your own. I want to address this to the children and, yes, the parents, that it's children's inbuilt drive to learn that makes the difference. And this drive is called curiosity. Curiosity is nature's gift to humankind. That's why we learn. Curiosity in today's lingo will be like a software, a learning software. The best learning software in the world is not this company or that company. It is what comes preloaded with the hardware, the human baby. As it comes into this world, it is full of curiosity. It wants to know about everything. Even if it takes burning its hands, she will put her hands in the fire. That's curiosity. And learning is should be driven by curiosity rather than teachers and textbooks. They will be very useful if there is curiosity. Unfortunately, many schools and many parents kill the very software that helps them learn and then complain, my child is not studying. They won't if you kill their curiosity. So my schooling was 3 pillars and without any walls. The walls of classroom, there weren't any walls. The pre-pillars of my learning as a little child in my tiny village was curiosity, which drove me to ask about everything and find out and celebrate about all the phenomenon of nature. So I would run from, the farms where farmers would show me how seeds go into the ground, roots go down, shoots come up, and leaves unfurl, without having to memorize L-E-A-F, leaf, L-E-A-V-E-S, leaves, in some other language. I could connect to nature directly in my mother tongue and on ground reality. And that's why I teach my friends who went to the best of schools that when you were memorizing LEF from faded pages of a textbook, seeing pictures, I was on the ground seeing things happen. And in my mother tongue, from my mother, I learned. And that's a great luxury very few get today. In fact, most are caged for, 6 to 8 hours in a classroom, and they don't get to see anything interesting in the outside world. And therefore, I was saying we should set children free to explore, while lectures and teachings could now be given online so easily. I'll come to that. But so my childhood was on the pillars, at least learning, curiosity. But in life, if you want to become, problem solvers, innovators, or leaders, then curiosity is good for the head to know about things, but it's not good enough to become a leader, become a problem solver. You need a second pillar that I learned later in my life. These are from my experience, not from any books. So the second pillar I understood was empathy. Empathy is that feeling for the pains of others and wanting to solve their problems. Because curiosity alone is like monkey curiosity. You just want to know as an entertainment. It doesn't help anybody unless you use it to help others in their pains, in their problems. And that's empathy. Unfortunately, our schools neither help grow our curiosity, they actually often kill it, nor do they help us develop empathy for others. Actually, many schools are just training us to become cutthroat competitors, to climb on the heads of others and find our own victories and so on. Whereas empathy is the opposite. It's of going together with all and helping others who are falling behind you to come and join and move and climb together. So this I learned more from my mother and my grandmother than from any schools. My mother would care about what's happening with our neighbors. She would take the best of foods first to the neighbors. When we had a new calf from our cows, she would take the first milk to the neighbors. So that kind of helping others is very important, and it cannot come from just textbooks and classroom lectures. This has to be learned from all around, especially from parents and grandparents. So what I'm saying is that learning is very wide. You cannot just leave it to classrooms and teachers, whether offline or online. You have to join. The parents have to join. The grandparents have to join to groom a child. There's an African proverb that says it takes a whole village to groom a child, to grow a child. It cannot be just the mother or the father or even the schools. The whole village creates those beautiful circumstances for child to grow. And that's why things like empathy can be better learned from what you experience from your parents, grandparents, relatives, neighborhood, and so on. And I was very lucky to get this pillar very strong in this tiny village. The third pillar is initiative. Just curiosity and empathy doesn't go much. Empathy becomes like a prayer. May all beings be happy. But things don't change just because you wish. You have to take initiative. You have to start something to change the world. And that is very important. And often schools don't teach us. We have to learn from our surroundings, from examples. In my case, I learned a lot from my father, who will not sit, lying down when there's any problem around. It can be a broken door handle in the house or an unfair law or system in society. To go out and change, this is what is needed for grooming wholesome citizens and human beings. So this was another pillar of becoming a problem solver, to take initiative after you learn everything, after you have the kind heart with empathy, and the bright head with curiosity. You need to have that skills of the hands to take initiative. Now, spirit of initiative, why I'm saying is that you have a very interesting system of learning online and not wasting your time traveling 1 hour this way and 2 hours back in traffic, wasting all your time, energy, and life. I was calculating in cities like Bangalore and Mumbai, people and children spend roughly 5 years of their life on the road in the traffic. You can imagine a life like that. So what I'm trying to say is that while online can help relieve of all this stress in children and stress on nature, with all the cars polluting and breathing this polluted air and killing plants and birds and bees and insects, we could be home or in interesting places learning hands-on practically while we learn the concepts online. You don't have to be in this building called school to listen to lectures that are much better online. You could be actually spending your time taking initiative to put what you learned in practice and help things grow, help things change. If you learn photosynthesis, why learn about it in a dark classroom? You learn and listen to it online and be in a garden, on a farm, and see photosynthesis do magic. So that takes initiative. You have to go out and be in the world and put those learnings into practice and make it a holistic learning rather than just some theory you memorize and then it doesn't help you anywhere in life. So taking initiative means taking action, not lying down hand on hand as a spectator or as a listener to lectures. Taking initiative means fixing that broken door in your house, or fixing your neighborhood where maybe children are put as child laborers and they don't get a childhood or a good education. You go out and organize people, make their parents aware, take help of the law, help of elders, and make life different for those victims of child labor. For example, I'm just giving examples. Initiative is taking action. And this is what I learned from life, and it helped me all through life. Once you have the spirit of initiative, spirit of not just sitting down as a silent spectator, but rather taking action, which is more possible when you're free to do so, when you're not caged in classrooms. Then what happens? Actions that you take leads to experience. And experience leads to confidence. People ask me often, how do I improve my self-confidence? Well, you don't get up one fine morning more confident. You have to have had many failures, many successes, know what works, what doesn't work. That is experience. And that comes only when you take many, many, many actions. and not just memorize textbooks. When you take actions, you gain experience. When you gain a lot of experience, you are confident about yourself, about what works, what doesn't work. And when you have confidence and experience of real actions, then success is just a byproduct. You don't have to chase success. Success comes when you have all the other processes that you have gone through. And when you are successful, success leads to more success. As they say, nothing succeeds like success. So it leads to you wanting to take more action and more experience, more confidence, more success. This is the lessons of my life that I learned mostly without schools till 9 years of age, which is the formative time. And I'm very grateful that my childhood went that way. But then I was sent to schools that were very poor, were very badly built, dark, dingy, with teachers who you would fear. And there ended my happy learning. But somehow I was lucky to get some good teachers, and I caught up because of this very strong foundation. I caught up, and finally I entered engineering, as was my dream, for some solutions I wanted for Ladakh to grow plants and trees in cold winters. So I was interested in solar lighting, solar heating, and therefore I got into engineering. But while doing engineering, I came face to face with another reality, and that was that this education system in my region was totally a mess. 95% of students were failing. Schools would often get 0% results. And you know what? I came face to face with this situation thanks to an accident, which was that I had to earn for my own expenses. Somehow I had to decide not to take from my family. I wanted to earn myself and finance my engineering. And to do that, I started teaching. I took the initiative. I took the initiative rather than money from my rather well-off parents. I took the initiative that I will finance my education myself. And while doing that, one thing leads to the other. I saw that schools were a mess. When I started teaching, the children were so bright, so enthusiastic, yet their school results would be so dismal. And I saw that it was the system that was failing rather than students. We had a system where the language was alien, like Urdu or English for children who only spoke Ladakhi. Textbooks made no sense in the mountains. It was about, F for fan to cool you when children were living in minus 30 degrees. Made no sense. So therefore, failure was nothing surprising. So while doing my engineering, I realized that in life, it's not just about what I need, but rather what needs me. What I needed was my lenses and mirrors of light and optics, which is why I had come to engineering. But I saw what needed me were these children who were failing for no fault of theirs. And that was thanks to the empathy that I learned in my childhood. So while my friends were going to Silicon Valley and Bangalore for cushy jobs, I decided to come back to the mountains of Ladakh and change the education system. And together with other like-minded young people and the government, we started bringing reforms in the schools, in government schools, organized villagers to take ownership of their schools, changed all the textbooks from F for fan to things that make sense in the mountains, trained all the teachers. And you know what? The school results started changing too. When you take initiative, there is a result. And Urdu, we say, harkat mein hi barkat hai. When you take action, there is a result. So from 5%, dismal 5% pass, slowly the results went to 75% pass. Now, this was not a point where we could get complacent and say, now we have done it. We said, why are the 25% still failing? No one should be a failure after 15 years in schools. If they don't learn the way we teach, then we better teach them the way they learn. So we started a school for those who would still fail. Parallelly, along with reforming the government system, we started a school on the deserts, in the middle of nowhere, in a village called Pei, on the Indus River. And together with the students, practical hands-on application of what is in the textbooks, the students and us together, we built a school that was very unique back in the 90s. Unique, first of all, because the admission criteria was failure in 10th board rather than your marks and distinctions. Secondly, it was completely solar powered, off-grid, in a time when these terms were not even coined, zero energy, off-grid, and it was built with soil, mud, which is so eco-friendly rather than chemicals and steel and so on. We put to use, now you can see how education is in what you can make of it rather than what exam you can pass with it. So we use geography lessons to see how we should design our buildings. In geography, we learned the sun in the northern hemisphere stays in the southern sky. So we oriented our buildings to the south so that in winter, the southern sky gives us all the sunlight, and that sunlight can heat our buildings without any fire, which in a -20 Ladakh. And the students, we said, should learn through initiative and experience and gain confidence and become successful. So initiative in what? The first thing they can take initiative is in managing themselves. So we said, why not make them run the school themselves? Why teachers and professionals run? We make it a student-run school, and they run the school like a little country with a government and a parliament and elections so that they are ready for the real world. So at this school, they make a government every 2 months. It's elected. There's an election commission, and the elected government, like you see at the top, makes plans for the next 2 months. They execute, and in the end, as you can see at the bottom, they present in the little parliament their learnings, their actions that can be carried on by the next group. So apart from online concept building, which is better than old lectures from old notes, there also needs to be an action lab where the students can actually put into action what they learn from the books, online or offline. It can either be parents who give this environment at home or take them out to various places, or it can be some system where, for 10 months you do online, and for 2 months you go to a place and apply everything and have the fun of learning hands-on, a celebration of education. Or you could have in a week, 2 days of school and 4 days of or 3 days of online concept building. But in those 2 days, you go to a school that doesn't look like an ordinary, normal, conventional school. It's a live laboratory where action and application is the crux, and teachers are not there to lecture you. Lectures have already happened and happened better online with all kinds of illustrations and animations. Now you're here to work with other human beings. That's also important, group learning, group work, and peer learning, and then apply, see what happens, hands-on, make things and break things and learn from your successes and more from your failures. So there has to be some live lab, like in our case, lectures can happen from teachers offline, or we nowadays more and more do it through online. We engage the best of people who have the best of communication skills to do the lectures. We don't worry now the school for lectures. The school now is the action lab where this can be done. We are lucky to have it, but in the system that you have, the beautiful system you have at 21K, maybe you could have a 2 months hands-on intensive in a year, or in few months, a few weeks of that maybe we can collaborate and they can come to Ladakh at our school and do this hands-on thing, but there has to be some hands-on aspect. Best is if parents get involved. Like I said, it takes a village to groom a child. So parents shouldn't wash their hands and just leave it to the school. They should create the environment where children will do the other half of learning, which is the practical part. So here at this school, the children do all kinds of things. Rather than spend their time in the classrooms, they're there milking the cows. Some of the, in the government, some of them get dairy, and they take care of the cows. Others get energy, so they take care of solar gadgets. Others are organic farming, solar power plants, greenhouses, all kinds of things they spend their time, and not just lectures in classrooms. And that's how they learn. And innovation fueled by this kind of learning can be a great solution to your problems. In the mountains of Ladakh, our innovation play is revolving around, earth, sun, ice, and fire. Like with earth or soil, we build our buildings. With sun, we power our buildings or heat our buildings. You can see how the chapter on heat from 9th grade is coming alive to heat this building that you can see on the left. And down there, you can see how it is powered and heated by convection, conduction, and radiation. This is what you learn in heat in your 9th or 8th or 10th grade. Different places have different things. So here you can see how the sun heats the greenhouse on the building, and hot air rises, that is convection, and gives its heat to the big walls, cold walls, and itself becomes cool and dense and is pushed into the greenhouse, and the cycle continues. That is convection, and it's bringing things alive. It can be used to make Ladakhi -20 winters warm. Same with conduction and radiation, but I won't go into details right now. What it actually means is that in a place like Ladakh, where it is -20 outdoors, you can have rooms that stay at +18, thanks to the chapter on heat in 9th grade or so. It takes high school science to change things in life. And if you use it to change things in life, your lessons become unforgettable. That's why I say, don't scold the children for forgetting their lessons. Just make their lessons unforgettable. Yes, and the beauty of design and science is that these buildings that are warmest in winter are also by design coolest in summer. You would wonder how. I leave it as a puzzle for you. Maybe I can solve it some other time. And using all the chapters in your high school, you can make things work, even in the harshest environments. At our school, everything is using the sun. Cooking, to greenhouses that grow vegetables in winter, to lighting, to electricity, water heating, water pumping. Even cows at the school live in solar heated warm cow sheds. I will now slowly close it, just to share. Similarly, like cold of the mountains, we wanted to solve the water issues using basic middle school science. So with climate change and global warming, our glaciers are melting away, we said at our school, how about making our own glaciers? Few years ago, with my students, we set out on a project. So you can see how time is spent not in classrooms, but in actually applying it. We just said we'll freeze the water that goes waste in winter. This is a typical Ladakhi village. There's a little stream and a lot of farms, but in winter the farms are dry and the stream is still flowing down into Indus and Arabian Sea without being of use to anybody. So we said we'll freeze this in January and keep it frozen till June. With a little application of middle and primary school science, we came to the conclusion that the way to keep ice from January from melting with summer, May and June, the best shape is cones. Cones, if you remember your geometry, cones like spheres and hemispheres have low surface area and high volume. And this is what we want: low surface area for the sun to melt and high volume for the farmers to use. And our prototype worked, and the January ice stayed till July, melting and giving water when the farmers need the most. How we made these 10-story towers of ice is another application of science. You can see there's a fountain, and it has no pumps, no pollution, no power needed. It is just gravity of a pipe upstream higher than this level, because science teaches us water always maintains its level. So we have a pipe upstream higher, and then water comes out. It's sheer gravity. And beautifully, it makes itself into a cone, which has this geometry that doesn't let it melt. What it practically means is that as it melts in June slowly, its water, melting water, can be collected in a tank like you see there. And then from there, you can drip irrigate trees. And in a desert that had never seen any greenery, you can see right there, 5,000 trees started blooming. So you can apply what you learn rather than only pass exams to solve some of the biggest problems. Now this has become a kind of movement. Villages in Ladakh all over are making these. In fact, outside Ladakh, countries like Switzerland, in Europe, and Chile in South America, neighboring countries like Pakistan, they're also building these. So I won't go into details, just to say that this got us the Rolex Award for Enterprise, which is quite a deal, it seems, but we are not proud of these awards. You know, the global warming and climate change challenges that we face cannot be fixed by these ice artificial glaciers or the solar heated houses. The but is a big but. And that but, I want to engage all of you. It takes all of you to solve our problems that we try to solve with the little learnings we take from our high school level maths and science. These are good, but they cannot make us, climate change proof. For that, it takes more of you all. And I'm happy that your school is collaborating towards a solution. Let me tell you what the solution is. If we make these little ice glaciers, and you all in big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, New York, London, keep life and business as usual, then climate change won't stop because of our little solar heated houses. So 3 years ago, we started a campaign on Mahatma Gandhi's 150th anniversary. It's called I Live Simply Movement, to appeal to the world to please live simply in the big cities, so that we in the mountains may simply live. That's the challenge we have, to simply survive and live with our glaciers melting and at sea level coastal areas drowning villages. So please live simply, so we may simply live, is a movement. But we didn't want to make it a boring lecture or a preaching. So we started it as a movement of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, not of funds or money. Your money doesn't help the planet. It doesn't need money. It needs lifestyle change, behavior change. And therefore, we said we'll crowdfund pledges for the planet. Pledges to change your life. Pledges say to not waste food. You students, many of you, you take a big plate full and throw half of it. Can you imagine how much energy and effort has gone in making that plate full of food? So change your lifestyle. Pledge never to waste food. Or you can pledge to use bicycle or walk to school if you go to a school. In your case, it is different. Rather than take a car. You pledge to take trains instead of aeroplanes. You pledge to plant trees in your own places, in somebody else's place, wherever it helps nature. So pledge, and this website will convert it in terms of dollars or rupees, how much worth you have contributed. So it's a fun game to see how much you're contributing by changing your lifestyle. And I can promise that this dollar, which is imaginary, you actually don't give any dollars, you just give lifestyle change, you just plant trees or not waste food, is more precious for the planet than real dollars a rich man can contribute. So I urge you, in this collaboration, in this campaign that we are running together with 21K schools, the parents to engage themselves and change your lifestyle so we may simply live. And to the children, the students who are actually sometimes much more clever than the old generation, to make sure in your family you manage change and make sure it happens. Children can be very powerful, so use your power and change the way your family lives. If you're wasteful, if you're polluting with diesel cars, rather than take the public transport, the metro or bicycles, you're killing lives, and killing our violence is a sin in any religion. So modern 21st century sin is lifestyle, harmful lifestyles. So do take care and take charge of your families. This is not the end, but I'll stop here for you to ask any questions. This is not the end. The road is very, very long, but I'll stop sharing here.
Thank you, Sonam sir. And wow, we are so truly inspired. So to take the program further ahead, may I request Aruna ma'am to come over and take the stage. Over to you, Aruna ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sudipta. And hello, Sonam. It is really, really a pleasure not only to meet you, but with what I just heard. And one of the questions that I just read, Sonam, I think before I reach it out to you, is that there is a parent who actually has expressed that she wants Mr. Sonam Wangchuk to run 21K school. And I think she has very politely asked if I could step down.
Collaboration is the name of the game.
So I think that was one of the questions. And ma'am, in all honesty, I have asked the question. So I think like Mr. Sonam Wangchuk just said, that collaboration is the game. So I promise you that if Mr. Wangchuk agrees, we are definitely going to collaborate and ensure that our students get the experience. Having said that, 21K is so working towards making this a reality for us as well. Of course, in all these times, Mr. Wangchuk, as you also must be aware, the pandemic has actually restricted us from doing things, in the real sense of the word. Even the physical schools were not physical, leave alone the online schools. So of course, now with the world opening and, many avenues opening for us, we promise you that we will be giving our students a lot of experiential learning. It is definitely something that we are working on for this upcoming academic session. So let me ask you, some interesting questions, sir. Yeah, sure.
I want to tell her that more than you or me, the issue is of them taking charge.
Exactly.
Stepping down is fine, but parents should step in as directors of the learnings of their children as much.
So the thing is, my dear parent, is that there is only one Sonam Wangchuk who started this movement of changing the world. It is up to us as parents and educators to make many more Sonam Wangchuks in this world. So let us take the initiative, as he said, and success will follow. Success will follow, whether it is your dream to change your child's future, or whether it is to change the world from a larger perspective. So yeah, so let us just get down into, answering some questions, and they are so interesting. One child has asked, is it to take action and not respond good? If action can make people or the world better, why do we not learn about it in school?
That's exactly what I was saying. The school you're talking about is the school of the past, and the school I was talking about is the school of the future, where action is part of the learning, where it is not just a bright head that we are seeking, but also skilled hands and kind heart These I call the 3 H's of education, as opposed to 3 R's that the British gave us, and stupidly so, because reading, writing, and arithmetic make no sense when you can't have an impact in the world. So yes, let's start with that.
So what Mr. Wangchuk is saying, that the 3 R's have been replaced by the 3 H's of the head, hand, and heart. So if you get all these 3 together, my dear children, it translates into action. So action is what you do, not what the school teaches you. So that is initiative, all right? Yes. So one child wants to know, I heard to the way of study you like, and it is ideal, but that kind of study does not let me crack competitive examinations like JEE or NET. So, so what do you have to say to these children who also want to crack the competitive examinations? Because today, to become an engineer or pursue any profession, I mean, this is important.
Yes. So what I will say is 2 things. Firstly, that knowing things inside out, hands-on, does not hinder you in these exams. These exams are a small subset of the knowledge and understanding you will have as a doer and learner. So it doesn't necessarily set you back. But if your skills were tested, you would be far ahead of those who only know how to crack exams. Okay, so keep doing this, because it makes you even more complete, beyond, not less, but beyond what it takes to crack exams. One hand, at your level. Secondly, I'm also discussing with the system to make exams, change the exams to test their true learning. You know, a good change would be if the boards or some of these IITs had few questions that can only come out from live experience. Or maybe you could have, you know, out of 10, 9 questions which are, you know, multiple choice and things, but one where you don't know where, but you will be led to a place to unassemble a clock or open a clock or put it back. If our system started having such things where you are tested how much you can do, I can guarantee that schools will start doing this kind of teaching. Coaching centers will erupt, which pride themselves in the do and, you know, make and break kind of learning hands-on, and the system will change. So just wait a little while, and together we can change that system also, so that this learning that I was talking about will help you both in cracking exams, and as the exams become better and different, it will help India, you know, figure somewhere at the top in the world. Right now we are good as theoretical, you know, researchers, but not at making things, thanks to this kind of system.
Yeah. So I think we need to move away from this regurgitation and, you know, just rote learning and reproducing answers. Definitely. A question here which is actually, I think, a plea from a parent. Hi, sir, really fortunate to meet you today. Today, my question for you is about perception. I think today you are what you are because of perception, which I feel is totally unique. You are selfless, helpful, and have dedicated your life for Ladakh region. My humble request is that if you can please share how we can help our children to see things the way you see them and the world around you.
I would say not the way I see, but just be original in wherever you are, whoever you are. Don't be colored by the colors of the pages that maybe come from London or New York in your textbook. You know, think on your feet for not only India, but where you are in the circumstances you are. Even India is so diverse that one kind of thought will not help everybody. Just be yourself and use these faculties, as I said, of curiosity, empathy and initiative, and you will be leading the world rather than only being the best follower of some people sitting somewhere far away.
Very true, very true. Yeah. There is a child who wants to know what are the subjects in your school.
It's very difficult even to, put them in these silos or cans. So it's very fluid and interdisciplinary. We have to have the subjects that the states and the conventional system has, but in between there are so many. So we actually don't go into breaking them so much into subjects. At this level, I will only say that we connect all these subjects that you know of with a lot of things in between that fill and make life whole.
So there are some children who want to know that, you started your own school and of course you had an idea behind it. What was your inspiration behind all of this, behind starting your own school?
So in life, some things are started out of inspiration. That's a luxury for the lucky ones. Others start because of a necessity. When you are at a fall, you have to struggle and survive. So in my case, for the system that I have been struggling in and against and for, it's more that second thing. You may remember I said when I came back from my engineering, the system was such that 95% of the students were failing. Now, 95% failing, can you imagine? Failing outright is not really an inspiration, but it is a reason enough to do something. So it's like your house is on fire, and to throw water is natural. It's not even an inspiration. It's not a luxury. You have to act to do something about the burning problem. And that's why I did.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So over here, what you have just reiterated is that necessity is the mother of initiative. Yes. Because it is a need. So in this life full of comfort, how can you find the required motivation?
Comfort is a dangerous thing, and I try to keep that rather away. Comfort is a deadly thing, I can tell you. So don't be trapped or slip on the slippery path of comfort. I try and always choose the less comfortable, less beaten, less known path, and that helps stimulate my brain cells. Our brain cells, neuroplasticity says, they grow because of challenge. Usual stimulus, not the comfort that keeps us and puts us at rest, and at rest we then stay. Rest in peace is what we do when we are too comfortable. So don't choose comfort. Don't choose comfort. When I finished my engineering, just one example, I came back to what people called harsh and difficult Ladakh. In Ladakh, even in Ladakh, when I was here, people from Ladakh go away to Goa and Chennai and Delhi in the winters because it is cold here. I pledged that no matter what happens, and I could be going out in any time, but winters I'll spend in Ladakh and only Ladakh, and go through all the pain of winter, experience it, so that I'll have to come out with a solution. My solution was not to go to Goa in the winters. That's an easy solution that only I can afford. But if I can solve something sitting here, everybody can afford. So today we are lucky to have buildings that are much warmer than houses in Delhi in winter. Today I can say proudly that every time I go to Delhi in January from Ladakh, I feel cold. and without any fire or pollution, it's all thanks to the sun. We use nothing but the sun to stay warmer than Delhi does in the peak of winter here in Ladakh. And that's because I chose not comfort.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think it will take some time for the children to actually understand what it is to not be comfortable, because I think what was a want for us today is a need for the children. So I think that whole concept has to actually reverse for the children to understand the difference between what is a want and a need also. There is a child who wants...
And I would...
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure, sir.
I would
Please,
just
please.
urge the parents to make your children's life a little uncomfortable. When you, our problem is not so much of parenting. In India, our problem is more of over parenting. You know, when you feed them and tie their laces and do everything for them, they become handicapped. You take care of everything, so they outsource everything and become dependent individuals who can't lead a business or a innovation or a solution in life. In the West, it is a little better. They make children do things themselves, even if they can afford, you know, servants and so on. I have seen the richest people in the US, you know, send their children at 18 to become waiters and waitresses in restaurants, to value life and the effort it takes to make money. They may have billions to inherit, but the child should go through the pains of life, and only then they become the top leaders of the world. So Indian parents really need to be a little less kind. It's a misguided kindness.
I think the mindset is that what we didn't have, our children should have. And therefore, you know, the overindulgence over there, isn't it? Anyway, I think that too is changing with the new generation of parents, wherein they're realizing that, you know, what they're probably doing is not helping the children in the long run. Moving on, there is a child here who wants to know, why did you say that the best thing for you was that there were no schools? You didn't go to school. Why did you say that that was the best?
Yes. So I would say no school is better than bad schools. Okay, good schools are good, but it's better to not have a school if your option is a bad school that breaks you, that breaks your curiosity, that makes you just memorize and grades you on some marks. Then it is better not to have, because then you take charge, then you make things happen. But if you have good schools, and especially where you have things happening online and leaving you free to do things offline, to explore life and understand the ups and downs, that's a beautiful thing. So, but still, I would say to you children, that your learning is your responsibility. Offline on online schools can only be a side help. You have to take charge. So you are your own school with the pillars of, as I said, in my case, curiosity, which drives your learning, not schools and teachers, whether offline or online. You have to drive your own learning, and then a bit of empathy and initiative will take you far.
Very true. Beautifully said. There is a parent who is, you know, resonating her, you know, our thoughts as well, wherein, you know, she's saying that, why do I feel that he's exactly voicing my thoughts about school, and that he's speaking like APJ Abdul Kalam? So, yes, I think we think so too. Yeah. The children also want to know that whatever pictures that you showed today in your presentation, I mean, are they really where you are, you know, living right now? Are they for real?
That's why I said we should have exchanges and immersions in doing things and not just learning.
Definitely, sir. So, of course, there are a lot more questions, which are your atypical questions in wanting to know what your childhood was like, and, you know, how do your students create their own government, and how is your school functioning without teachers really? So maybe you would care to answer.
No. I didn't say without teachers. I didn't say without teachers, but not teachers who are in the driving seat. The students do a lot of their own responsibility. You have to take, experienced guidance from teachers or peers or whoever, but teachers are great. Schools are also good, but if they play their roles where students are not handicapped.
All right. So I think we are almost done with the questions, Mr. Wangchuk. I think we can't just thank you enough for, you just simply coming here and gracing us with your presence. I think this 1 hour of interaction with you must have opened so many minds of children, of parents, and maybe created a whole new perspective of, towards schooling and towards life altogether. I hope that, there are a few of us who would have, who actually live that pledge that we have all taken and make and lead a simple lifestyle and bring about that change that we need to at the global level. I am so sure, yes, I'm so sure you will have a lot of students coming to Ladakh soon enough and actually experiencing, life over there. And we hope that, we will also, and this I promise you, that we will be implementing more experiential learning in our school in this next upcoming academic session. And we will look forward to reaching out to you and your team for further collaboration with 21K. And we hope and pray that you cooperate and work with us, to make that difference.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And if this session was useful, then you have to pay some Guru Dakshina, the big fees, and the fees is in green eco dollars by making pledges on the ilivesimply.org site. And if you just take away this and do not pledge, you know what will happen? All the things that happens in WhatsApp messages, no? Your grandmother will slip down the stairs and you will have boils and pimples all over your face. All that will happen to you if you don't make pledges and pay your fees. All the best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wangchuk. Thank you. And I'm sure we will go ahead with taking the pledge. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Having you here and listening to your vision and passion for real learning inspire us to keep our determination strong in our pursuit of providing meaningful education. We surely look forward to extending our collaboration with you and hope that our students too gain in the future. Thank you so much, sir. Moving on. The summer school program provides students with an enriching opportunity to explore a variety of curricular areas. To discuss more on this, I now welcome Ms. Tanuja Amin to take us through the plethora of activities that have been put together.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Dear parents, the objective of our summer school is to develop students holistically as mentioned by our co-founder, Mr. Yashwant Raj Paraspar. It serves to infuse fun, strengthen confidence, communication, social and self-management skills, along with the ability to think critically and logically. To ensure that students have one of its kind of an experience, we have partnered with experts from various fields. We would now like to give you a glimpse of the different resource management teams with whom we have partnered for the summer school. Can you, the next slide, please. Hobby Tribe. Hobby Tribe is the world's first hobby tech company providing online live all hobby classes to people all around the world. It has been rated as the best educational startup in Mumbai for 2 consecutive years. Manners and Beyond, as the name suggests, is all about life skills. And Ms. Sonam Wangchuk this morning mentioned it as one of the pillars of learning. Manners and Beyond is an 8-year organization that has pioneered in life skill education for children and young adults in India. Spread over Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bangladesh, it has been recognized by the Indian Education Award as the best life skills school for children using playway methods. STEM education is an acronym for the four disciplines, namely science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But it's more than just that. STEM has grown to represent a unique approach to teaching and learning. We have tied up with Cambryonics and STEM Monster to harness the power of curiosity, rightly mentioned by Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, to excite students about science and give them the feel for what it is to be a scientist. Much is known about the benefits of yoga and mindfulness. Joining us is Ms. Saujanya Shetty, Ms. Madhumita Sancheti, and the team who are experts in the field of yoga. For mindfulness, we are happy to have collaborated with Ms. Fatima Kadir, who is a teacher trainer and a certified parent coach who works to create a happy way to unlock the hidden mental patterns and pay attention to one's own spiritual and emotional needs. We also have Mr. Nikhil Sood, who is the co-founder of Smile in the Mind, as well as a holistic wellness counselor. He is into designing corporate well-being programs, integrating psycho-assessments, psychoeducation, yoga, art therapy, psychotherapy, along with guided meditation. Research shows that children who sing, dance, act, play their little hearts out are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic excellence compared to others. Performing arts is a medium for self-expression. And for the very same reason, we have collaborated with experts from the field of dance, music, and theatre. We have with us Shoshabaz Caravan by Mr. Karan Arora, who is a full-time theatre coach and works with various educational institutes as a theatre and drama consultant across Delhi NCR. Nityeshwar is a well-known group for dance since 32 years, and it has represented India by performing in countries like France, Belgium, Spain, Austria, Switzerland, Poland, Taiwan, USA, Netherlands, Finland, Czech Republic, and in 4 international festivals in Spain. Another field of expression is visual arts, and we've associated with Connecting Minds, who are an interactive, skill-based, and educational company. Stories excite imagination. Listening to stories stimulates a child's curiosity and imagination endlessly. One of our partners this summer school is Kathalaya, which means the House of Stories. Kathalaya was established in 1998 with a vision to make a positive change in education through stories. To enhance logical thinking and decision-making skills in children, we have collaborated with B360, which is India's premier holistic development destination with a focus on letting kids be. They conduct specialized programs to help kids develop into well-rounded, future-ready, independent, skilled, and confident kids with innovative ideas. Junior Innovation Lab provides activity-based coding and technology courses to students. They have courses like block coding, app development, web development, game development, Python, etc. To provide students an exposure beyond classrooms, we have planned master classes every Friday. Students get to meet experts from various fields who will share their experience, guide students, and help them make real-life connections. The very first whom we've tied up is Globe from Home, which is the world's first EdTech company to use live stream, virtual, world travel tools for learning and development. Students experience live streaming, virtual field trip to countries around the globe. So get ready for an experience of its kind.
This is a pre-departure announcement for all passengers travelling on Globe from Home's virtual flight. Your flight is now ready to board, and we request you to proceed towards check-in. Have a safe and comfortable journey.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? Next, we have Satyajit Padye. Next slide. Thank you. Next, we have Satyajit Padye, who is the third generation ventriloquist and a puppeteer. Satyajit has learned the art of ventriloquism and puppetry from his father, Mr. Ramdas Padye, who is India's leading ventriloquist, puppeteer, and puppet maker, and has been performing for more than 45 years. Next, we have Ms. Sridevi Sunil, who is the founder and chief storyteller at Talking Turtles Storyteller. Her energy is infectious, just like her puppets. Her puppets tell folk tales, fairy tales, legends, myths, improvised tales, international wonder tales at storytelling sessions. Over the last decade, she has performed more than 500 puppet shows. Vikram Sridhar is another performance storyteller and a theatre practitioner based in Bangalore. He is a co-founder of The Huta, a Bangalore-based award-winning theatre group, and has volunteered and worked with different organizations in animal welfare, conservation space from his childhood days. Gurukul Fun is a team of passionate individuals who are on a mission to take the ancient Indic vision to the next generation in a way that would be much appreciated and remembered. They package ancient Indian heritage and culture in a dynamic, interesting, and fun ways for children. We have with us Mr. Ajit Bajaj, who is the first Indian to ski the North Pole and complete the polar trilogy, which entails skiing to the North Pole, South Pole, and across the Greenland ice cape. Bajaj and his daughter Diya Bajaj were the first Indian father-daughter team to climb Mount Everest. Abhijit Kinney, the founder of Kinney Studio, is a Mumbai-based illustrator, an animator, and an independent comic publisher known for his comic series Angry Munshi, Rhythm Fighters, and Fanboys. He has been a regular participant in all the Comic Cons and has also participated in international editions. Shabnam Meenawala is a popular writer of children's book in India. These include The Six Spell Makers of Dorabji Street, the Shy Supergirl, and What Maya Saw. She regularly conducts workshops in schools around the country and they have been and has been a speaker at various international festivals. We're fortunate to have Mr. Commander Dr. Abhilash Tony, a retired Indian naval officer and a yachtman. In 2013, he became the first Indian to complete a solar, non-stop circumnavigation of the world under sails. And he has also completed, in 2018, the Golden Global Race. Last but not the least, we have Ms. Megha Kawale, is a supermodel and listed in Femina India's 100 Most Beautiful Women. She has broken all gender barriers and shown that women can truly do all that beauty and brains are. Barriers to show that women can truly do all, and that beauty and brains are an unconquerable combination. She is India's first female disc jockey. Sounds exciting, isn't it? We just had a glimpse of the summer school offerings. Your children will have super fun time with learning so many new things. I am sure you're eager for the summer school to start. So are we. So gear up, get ready with all your materials, and let's go. The timetable and the link is available for the students on the portal. For those who need to be prepared with all the materials, the list will be mailed to you shortly. We thank you for being present today and wish you all a school summer ahead. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Aditya.
Thank you, Ms. Tanuja, for giving us an insight into the summer school program. So, ladies and gentlemen, your presence made this day a memorable one. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude and heartfelt thanks to each one of you who has been a part of this academic session 2021-2022. The hard work of all our coordinators, facilitators, resource persons, the tech team, and everyone else associated with the summer school who have put in their utmost efforts to have this program curated is highly appreciated. I would also like to express my warm gratitude to our co-founders, Mr. Yashwant Raj Parasmal, Mr. Santosh Kumar, Mr. Joshi Kumar, Mr. Dinesh Kumar, and our head of schools, Ms. Aruna Shetty, for their guidance in every aspect at every stage of this program. Lastly, a big thank you to all the students who will play an active role in the summer school program and around whom the whole program has been designed. We hope that you keep learning and you keep growing. At 21K School, we aim to empower the students with the 21st century skills. With your encouragement and our passion for work, we shall keep building upon our vision of making education meaningful and happy for our learners. Thank you once again and have a great day ahead.